started, many of you will know about the UK Expo Academy and will have attended some of our events in the past. Just for those that haven't, the UK Expo Academy is a comprehensive package of skills, capability, and knowledge training to support UK businesses succeed in international markets. Just a couple of bits of housekeeping from me. This session is being recorded. The recording, together with the presentation, will be sent to all of you following the session. We will be keeping your microphones and cameras muted for the duration of this presentation, just to minimize the chance of feedback during the webinar. Alternatively, you can type in any questions you have throughout the presentation by clicking on the little Q&A button at the top, and if we don't get to those during the session, we will revisit them at the end. I do want to point out, however, that we won't be able to answer any questions specifically related to your business in this open forum format where the session is being recorded. One last thing from me, at the end of the webinar, I will post a link in the chat which will take you to our feedback survey. We would very much appreciate it if you would complete the survey, which will help us to improve our offering to you. Now, without further ado, I will hand you over to Mr. Nigel Barker. Nigel, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Math, and welcome to everybody. Day one of International Trade Week, and I hope everybody's kind of logging on, joining lots and lots of events and sessions, and learning loads of new stuff. I'm really excited to actually be delivering this session today. It's more of an information session than anything. And we're going to be officially launching our new Unlock Europe program. And with any luck now, the power of computers, you should see me in front of a little screen. Hopefully, if that's all worked properly. If it's not, I can only apologise. But I'll come into what Unlock Europe is all about in a second. But first things first, what I would really like to do, if I can, is just ask you a very quick question. You should have a poll appear on your screen very shortly. What year did the UK start exporting to Europe? And hopefully, the power of magic, there should be a poll that appears. It's appeared to me. Just type down or type in when you think the UK started exporting to Europe. We've got the year 2000 has come in. That's a guess. Any others? We've got one response. Come on, I can do better than that. We can do better than that. There's 80 of you in the room, 75, 80 of you. 1901. Five responses. 1136. I like 1136. That's very specific. 1665. Six row. 1700s. 1985. Okie doke. Let's see. With lots and lots of varied answers there. 2021. Well, actually, the reality of it is that we have no real way of knowing when the UK started exporting to Europe. But what we do know is we've got some really strong archaeological evidence that goes back to the Bronze Age, 3600 BC, give or take the occasional year. We know that not only were we exporting bronze to Germany, Netherlands, and France, we were also exporting bronze products to those countries as well. So not just the raw material of bronze, but we were actually exporting axe heads and other effectively tools to those countries. And we've got how the archaeologists know that, I don't know. I'm not an archaeologist, but it actually just shows that's a really long trading history with Europe. And actually, we were also importing from Europe as well. Lace, we know is from the Huguenot era of France, and also the Beaker people that came to the UK get their name because of the fact they had drinking vessels. That's still kind of, that format is still in use today. So that trade has been going on a really long time. So we'd say that Europe is our oldest and closest sort of trading neighbours. We we really do genuinely mean it. Now, for a lot of people, trade with Europe started in 1973 when we joined the EEC. But if you think about it, we exported the Beatles to Hamburg in 1960. So even before that, we were exporting, musicians. That's a very early picture. That's Pete Best in the background there, isn't it? So actually, it's really impossible to say how long our trading history has actually been, and it's not a new phenomenon. Um, However, let's talk about a little bit about Brexit. I'm just got a question here for you. What has happened to UK exports to the EU since Brexit? And again, a poll should appear, and this time we've got a multiple choice. Have they gone up? Have they gone down? Or have they remained the same? Let's see what people are answering. Has anyone got any thoughts on that? So 69% so far have said they've gone down, 17 set up, 22% said they've remained the same, 63% have said they've gone down. And that's the kind of response I would actually expect. But if we look at the data, actually the data sort of shows quite clearly that the exports in terms of goods and services actually have gone up since Brexit. If you look at 2019, we were 299 billion GBP. Then there was a drop in 2020. Now, part of that could be Brexit, but we also that is exactly when the pandemic hit. So there was that massive double whammy. And yeah, it's fair to say that exports did really drop. But if you look at now 2023, 357 billion pounds in terms of, that is the export value for goods and services, which is actually 80 billion up on 2021. So there has been quite a big bounce back. However, I would also like to ask, in terms of SMEs, and I know a lot of the businesses here will be SMEs, how has the appetite to export to the EU diminished for SMEs since Brexit? And again, another poll should be appearing on your screen any second now if the technology works well. There's one final poll. How has that impacted your growth? So what has that appetite been from your point of view? And have you experienced growth in EU exports in recent years, or have you seen a decline? Yes, no, or about the same? Just a quick straw poll. What have you got? So 50% no, 30, oh, it's about the same. About 38% no. Again, pretty much what I was expecting. So I'm quite hard to see those figures. We're on the right wavelength. Now, obviously, there was a double whammy when Brexit happened. We had the pandemic, we came out of the European Union, and it's fair to say that there was a little bit of turmoil. But what we've discovered, or what we've actually learned through talking to businesses, and we've done quite a lot of extensive research, is that there are some perceived barriers to trading with the EU. Since we came out of the European Union, people are saying the relationships change. Yes, that's definitely happened. There is new legislation to deal with. Yes, that is true. Some of the existing rules have changed. Yes, that is true. And also, there's a perception that there is increased admin. And I think in some sectors, I think it's very fair to say that there has been an increase in admin. So what we wanted to do as UK Export Academy is work out how we could address that. So I think it was middle of the year, before there was a change of administration. We started researching, talking to businesses, talking to the international trade advisors, and just talking to trade bodies generally. What were the sorts of problems that the businesses were facing, and how could we then plug that gap? How could we help? How could we upskill businesses? And the kinds of responses we were getting were fairly uniform right the way across. Businesses were having trouble, dealing with VAT rules. The rules of engagement had changed there a little bit. Getting goods into market, that changed a little bit. Rules of origin, businesses were getting caught up with that. There was actually, when you take the EU as one market, actually we've got all these different individual markets now that we're trying to sell into. So understanding which one of those markets are best for your business again has become a bit more of a concern, because I think businesses have had to potentially be a little bit more targeted as opposed to single point of access. And of course, there's a lot of confusion about what the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, the TCA, actually means for businesses, and just in general, how do they keep abreast of new regulations? So the team and I, we sat down and we collated all of this data, and I have to say thank everyone involved in it. And we came up with a program which we're launching today, which we're really, really proud of, called Unlock Europe. It even has a nice fancy little graphic. So what I'm going to do now over the next just a few minutes is take you through our thinking on Unlock Europe, and then how you can benefit from that as a business to start to make either better inroads into Europe if you're already selling there, or increase that, or if you've never exported to Europe in the first place, to actually take you on that journey. So the first stage, and this was one that actually shocked us, as the businesses had discovered they were slightly more confused about how to choose the right market. Whereas I think before, because it was one market, that single point of access was relatively straightforward for businesses. And I always used to say, when I was working as an international trade advisor, it was as easy to sell to France as it was to sell to, Falmouth, for example. And you had that sort of single point. It was nice and streamlined, and we knew what the rules were across the whole picture. I think things are a little more nuanced now, and businesses say, okay, how do I make sure I'm choosing the right market? So that is going to be stage one of Unlock Europe, is helping you, understand which European markets are most favourable to UK businesses, how you can balance demand versus ease. That's a really, really important, step for businesses to take, and also how you can make really good informed database decisions. I have to say that event is on tomorrow, and there's still time to sign up. I'll be sharing the link later for where you sign up. But if you signed up to this one, it's actually on the same site under International Trade Week. But yes, so choosing the right European markets launches the whole overall sort of learning side of this. So that's being presented by my colleague Kerry Stagg, who is our research advisories manager and also runs all of our research modules on the Export Academy. We have a 3-module section on actually researching, because as we always say in export, the first stage is research, second stage is research, and the third stage is research, and then after that it's fairly plain sailing. So module 1 tomorrow. The next up, a lot of businesses very confused about the implications of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, the TCA, and also rules of origin. Now that is a very big stumbling block. It was when it first, when we first sort of came out of the European Union, and it's still to this day businesses struggling getting to grips with that. Some have made greater inroads than others. So we've combined that into one session, and that first one of those is taking place, I believe, unless I've got this wrong, I think it is at the end of November, I believe. I've got the full dates listed in a minute. I should know that off the top of my head. But what are we going to be what are you learning in that? Is actually understanding what the TCA actually means, getting an understanding on border controls for goods being moved both in and out of the EU, and how to understand how you can confidently sell your goods to European customers, but also apply product specific rules of origin when selling to the EU. And that one is actually on the 28th of November, as I thought, which is I've just checked in my own notes there. Following on from that, this is something, there was one this morning. Actually, we ran an event this morning. We squeezed one into International Trade Week. I think there was 470 people at it. So it was really, really, well-attended event. This has come to light very, very quickly. The new GPSR, General Product Safety Regulations, that are actually come into force. I think the 13th of December is the kind of cutoff in the EU, and also CE markings. A lot of businesses inquiring about that and wondering what they need to do. So again, that one is taking place on the 6th. No, sorry, the 13th of December. Sorry, got that wrong. And you'll be basically learning, what the regulations mean for your business, understanding your obligations, based on the role you play as a business and as a seller into that market, and also understanding market surveillance and how to ensure your products are actually compliant, so that your goods can move freely into the EU after the 13th of December. So, as I say, apart from being a session we ran last week and we ran this week, that is also then going to be part of the Unlock Europe program, which will be a continually rolling program. So, we'll be running lots and lots of those GPSR events over the coming 12 months. A particular hot potato in export in general, really, but especially in the EU, is how do businesses account for VAT? How to become tax compliant. These things did change post Brexit. How do you become tax compliant when selling into Europe? How you can be confident to take the right steps and understand what steps you need to take and how you can move yourself forwards. Because I've always said this with businesses, a lot of businesses are really good at making amazing stuff. They're really good at doing good things. If you make widgets, you can be the brilliant widget maker. There's a couple of things that businesses always fall down on that I've always seen is actually, how do they successfully market that and how do they successfully account for that? And VAT is one of those very, very big areas. And I'm not an accountant. To me, it's anathema. So I am not the right person to ask, which is why we partner with a brilliant organisation, and I think Simply VAT are going to be running those sessions moving forwards. Other areas of regulations that have come to light that businesses are saying, look, we just don't know about this enough. What can you do to help us? Is the carbon border adjustment mechanism. So in these sessions, you'll be learning what is CBAM. What are the implications for you as a business selling into the EU? And this is something that came into force in 2024, in July of this year. So businesses need to be on top of it. And again, we get lots and lots of questions and lots of queries. How do we cope with this and how do we deal with this? So the CBAM sessions are in Unlock Europe, and I think we'll be there for a while to come. Another area, not actually entirely targeted at food and drink, but is the sanitary and phytosanitary measures. How do we as a business navigate these? And why I say not just food and drink is actually this applies to a lot of other sectors. If you're selling leather goods, wallets, belts, handbags, jackets, certain businesses will have to deal with these particular measures and actually sign up to them and understand what their requirements are, what the checks are going to be when you're selling food and animal products overseas. So we've included that in as a standalone module because I think it's really, really super important, not just for food and drink businesses. Something that is definitely growing in international trade, and it's been talked about for a very, very long time, is what we refer to as the digitalization of trade. Understanding about how electronic documents can really impact your business and how that is actually going to impact trade with the EU and hopefully simplify things, make things a bit more streamlined. But there are also changes in the 2023 Electronic Trade Documents Act, and understanding how you can benefit from those and what businesses need to do to get ready for this is really vital. If we're going to maximize our trade, not just with the EU, but also globally, then digitalization of trade is going to play a really, really big part of that. And it always makes me laugh as someone that's worked in systems architecture for the large parts of his life, that we still have printed out bits of paper to do a lot of stuff. To me, that feels very odd. I've not dealt with that for a very long time. And actually, finally, we're starting to move away from that. But there are implications for businesses. There are things that you need to do. There are some hurdles you have to jump over in order to benefit from that. And it's not a quick fix. I will be honest. These I've worked in systems long enough to know that no system in change is a quick fix, but the long term benefits are definitely there, not just for the businesses, but also for the UK economy. And finally, a big question that we get is, how do I get my goods into the EU these days? That changed overnight. A lot of that was around, things like rules of origin, but how do we best, move our goods? Because moving goods, it's never been a one size fits all. There are lots and lots of factors in your business and also in your sector that determine how you actually get goods from A to B. As I said before, in the old days, it was almost as simple as shipping from, Bradford to Falmouth as it was to ship from Bradford to France. It's just there was a large body of water in the way. And I'm not talking about the River Tamar. The English Channel was in the way. Once you'd overcome that, it was fairly simple. Now the rules of engagement have changed. Okay, it's not the world's biggest challenge, but understanding what's best for your business and best for your customer can actually make that process a lot more efficient and a lot more effective. And I think a lot of businesses have muddled through and made some expensive mistakes, and hopefully we'll be able to prevent any other businesses from making those trial and error expensive mistakes with some good quality advice, and just giving everyone a little bit more of a heads up as to the various different options that are out there for them, because there is an option to suit everybody that is efficient and is effective, but not everybody knows about them, so we'll highlight those and bring those to the forefront for you. That, in a nutshell, is the core of our 8-module Unlock Europe program. But there's more as well. In addition to that, we've also picked 4 supplementary sector-focused webinars. And again, just looking at the data we've got with the businesses that are, struggling the most or finding, having the most questions, we're going to be running 4 sector-focused webinars aimed at food and drink, consumer and retail, health and life sciences, and professional services. And they will run after the 8-module series, making it a nice round 12 overall, which will then just continue to roll quarterly. And we will add to this as well. Something we're already talking about adding into this is the digital product passport, which is coming into play very, very soon. So if anyone's heard about that, watch this space, because I'm hoping to have some news on that in December/January. Some forthcoming dates for your diary for Unlock Europe. The first 4 should be live to book now. Choosing the right European market, which is on tomorrow. That's the 12th of November. So book on that. It's a fab session. I've actually had a bit of a sneaky preview of it, and it's definitely well worth going to. TCA Rules of Origin, 20th of November. GPSR is the 6th of December. VAT in Europe is the 10th of December. And the following ones will be after Christmas, and we'll have those we'll have those live to book on the site over the next week or two. So just keep checking back. Here is a lovely QR code for you to scan. If you want to, that'll take you through to the Unlock Europe page and tell you when the next events are. Or you can click on that link when you get a copy of the presentation, which we will send out to you very, very shortly. And finally, I hope you're taking advantage of all these fabulous events that are taking place during International Trade Week. And if there's any more you want to go to, again, there's a lovely QR code here. Give that a quick scan, and that'll show you everything that we've got going on this week. There is so much. We're really, really proud of this week's or this year's International Trade Week. There's some superb events, and we like to think that there is something for everybody. That's enough of my slideshow. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to come back into the room now. Hopefully, should be there. Am I back there now? And hand over to Matt. Have we got anything in the Q&A?
Thank you, Nigel. We have one question from Darren Kilo in the Q&A. just read it out to you. So, hello. I'll be exporting into Ireland and other European countries. If I get an EORI number for Northern Ireland, can I also use this for the Channel Islands and other European countries? Would this increase the paperwork needed even if the goods weren't going to NI with this XI EORI number? Thanks.
Now, I am going to defer on that and say, oh, Darren, I think I know the answer, but I don't want to give you misleading information. Okay. So I will, have we got Darren's email address? And I will definitely ping you an email on that. And I think your NI EORI number is your GB and NI EORI number. And yes, that should cover you for exporting into the rest of Europe. But I will double check on that. I don't think I'm wrong in that. I don't think the rules have changed on that front at all, but I will double check on that for you. Any other questions? No?
No other questions at the moment.
Okay. Well, that's great. I hope everyone has seen some events in there that they want to come along to. We're really proud of this program, and obviously the proof will be in the pudding, as they say. But this is as with all of these programs, we will be looking to effectively revise and amend and really react to the requirements of business. It's driven by you guys, the businesses. We don't sit in ivory towers and just take these decisions. All of this was driven by the research that we did with businesses themselves and with the ITAs that are working with businesses. But if you have anything that you need to know, it really does help us if you feed that into us with suggestions and there are ways of doing that through the website. And if you've got access to an international trade advisor or whoever you, then feed those through because some of these for instance, there was touch and go on the CBAM as to whether or not we included it, but so many people said no, we really need to know about this. We said, well, that's a no-brainer. That has to go in. So the input from you really does make a difference. It really does shape these programs. Thank you very much for allowing me to launch. I feel really honoured to be launching this. It's been about 5 months in the making, 6 months in the making, so it's really good to get it out there. And now the rest of the program is all about doing the really great learning. So I duck out of it and leave everybody in the capable hands over the coming weeks of our real experts. That can not people like me, the real experts that can definitely put some meat on the bones. But I hope I've given you a flavour for it.
Thank you, Nigel. Just before we end the session, just a final reminder to everybody, I have posted the feedback survey in the Q&A chat. Please take a few minutes just to kind of complete that for us. Thank you for joining and see you all very soon.